All right, welcome to the latest episode of the Organic Fitness Podcast. As my pen falls off the table, not to worry. So this week is a Q&A based from individuals who wanted questions answered, and I pull them together from my social media content: Instagram, Colman Organic Fitness; YouTube, Colman Organic Fitness. We have TikTok, Colman Power. Literally write my name and then Organic Fitness after it. And don't spell it with an E, otherwise it won't come up at all. COLMANN. You get me. It's on my tree link, which is literally on my main page. Just then you click and it goes straight into it. So it is early morning here. We've got our day swannies on. Come at 15 discount if you want those. If you don't, fine. I feel like Superman would have them on, off at the moment because there's a massive glare on them. So first of the questions we were going through, 30-minute Q&A. Okay, what foods to eat other than eggs? From Mary Comerford on Instagram. We have the likes of Weetabix, yes or no, from Lindsay, all the way from Scotland. Shout out there, UK based. And how long does it take after changing your diet to see positive effects on your gut health? That comes from Audrey Burrows. And the final one is exercise for someone with bad joints, such as knees. That comes from Anonymous on TikTok. Those are the four main questions we're going to hit up today. So we'll start straight back up at the top with no pen in hand. I might reach down. Oh, there's another one handy there. Ah, yes, blue pens. I love them. So brighter the better. Stay away from black. Positive, right? So foods other than eggs to eat. Okay, eggs are a great source of protein, and that's why I recommend them. They're nature's multivitamin. They contain vitamin A, D, E, and K. They do contain, I suppose, cholesterol, but cholesterol, remember, is needed in certain amounts in your body. It actually is what helps and is converted into vitamin D. Vitamin D is essential for your immune system and your overall health. The body makes it itself. And we also must remember that eating whole foods such as eggs, it also contains it. So, and remember the fact that most of the likes of your protein and your vitamins A, D, E, and K are located in the egg yolk. So please don't throw away that egg yolk. It has been disproven the fact that excessive amount of eggs in any given day causes issues with your HDL, your bad cholesterol, and your good cholesterol. So, but if you have any issues, cover myself here. You're a doctor. But that's it. That's me covered. Sweat over. So eggs are a complete protein. They contain all 9 essential amino acids. And the essential amino acids means we must consume them from our diet, either a supplement, preferably from your diet. Why? Because it's much more satiating. Other examples of food sources, even though I know that the question will be tending towards a more plant-based diet, I will give the examples of meat sources. Okay, so you have meats, you have fish, you also have tofu, and then tempeh and hemp seeds, along with quinoa and bulgur wheat. But I named the last two slightly with an issue, because every food item is different. So with eggs, with meats, with fish, they typically have low carbohydrates, very low, if not minimal, 0. And that's what people tend to overeat with. So that's why a great combination with your meats is carbohydrates. So then we go into tofu and tempeh that have a slight bit of carbohydrates. Why? Because they're from vegetables, and vegetables contain carbohydrates. Interesting. The fact that every food item is either protein, fat, or carbohydrate, and they can also have all 3. They can have 2, or they can have typically just 1. But it's hard to find just a typical high protein source from a single ingredient. Eggs will be quite high. Egg yolk simply would be one single ingredient, would be very high in protein, very low in fats, and because the fats are typically in the egg yolk. And then we can go into meats, depending if there's fat on the meats or if it's a leaner meat, or the fish, depending on the fish. You can have fatty fish, oily fish, which is, again, fat is good for the body, it's essential. We must consume it from our diet. And then we go on to tofu. Tofu contains, the likes of 13 grams per 100 grams, about a fist size. Then you have the likes of tempeh, which is fermented, which is also good for your gut health. Why I recommend these, no restriction to foods. I eat every single item on, I suppose, the list minus processed. There's no advantage in getting those into your diet. And the next thing then is going on to other plant-based sources of protein. So the likes of lentils and the other items such as I said, would be chickpeas. They are two incomplete proteins that could be put together. Or another example would be, if I stick with lentils, because they're really high in protein, but they're missing some of the links. So for those of you on YouTube, I'm very visual. Take your example, your left hand and your right hand. You put those together, it creates a link of containing all 9 essential amino acids that are needed to make a complete protein. So lentils, another example, would be pumpkin seeds, which are great because they're high in zinc and they contain healthy fats. So that is a great combination in itself. And you can cook those, and that's, I suppose, a typical Indian meal, which is spices, which then again gain the advantage of antioxidants. Antioxidants reduce stress in your body. Less stress, more success. As I sip on my own spiced clove tea. I love those. So those would definitely be food items that I would add into your diet. The quinoa or quinoa, whatever the kids are calling it these days, and the bulgur wheat are complete proteins. However, they typically have higher carbohydrates than they do have protein. But that's not to say you couldn't add them in with eggs or a complete protein. With other complete proteins such as fish would be something that I would definitely have with either quinoa or the likes of bulgur wheat, and definitely getting them organically. Why? Because they are grains, and grains are typically sprayed to speed up the harvesting of those food items. So that's worth noting in itself. And definitely, if you're getting tofu or tempeh, get those organic. Actually, literally get everything organic. But it's hierarchy of needs. It's not to say that if you cannot get these foods organic, not to eat them, because that tends to lend to itself to binge eating. If you undereat, you will tend to overeat at the end of the day. And that's really something that I go through with people on the program. They undereat their breakfast, they undereat their lunch, and then they tend to binge eat at the end of the day. And if they don't do it at the end of the day, they do it the next day. But if they go through 4 days, really call it, I'm being good on Tuesday, I'm being good on Wednesday, I'm being good on Thursday, it's Friday, I'm going to eat the house down. That's what tends to happen. And that is not something I want. And realizing that with someone who's qualified or working with it through the knowledge that I'm putting out to you, make sure you're consuming enough calories to, I suppose, satiate yourself. And if your fitness goal is most certainly to lose weight and tone up, I would highly recommend using a tracker such as MyFitnessPal would definitely be one, but also the encouragement of having high protein meals. I call it the 30 and 30 rule. So getting at least 30 grams of protein in your main meals, that'll hit you around 90 grams of protein in any given day, minimum requirement. But if you're in a fat loss phase, I would typically bump you up slightly higher than that again, just because with training with added weights, you're, I suppose, incorporating more stress on the body, which needs needed for recovery. Protein is for recovery. Okay, it doesn't build muscle, which I previously had thought. And a lot of people, women that I train on the program, will often say, "Colman, I don't want to get too bulky now. Do you know what I mean? Don't want to turn out like the Hulk or anything." If you turn out like the Hulk, and you think that that's going to happen, that would make it a hell of a lot easier for every individual to, I suppose, build muscle on any given program. It takes a hell of a lot longer to build muscle than you would think. Okay, you're not going to burst out of your shirt. You're not going to burst out of and into literally, we call it the Hulk, the She-Hulk, or any Popeye or anybody else in between. Weight loss is a hell of a lot easier. Why? Because in 6 weeks, you can, I suppose, lose a significant amount depending on your starting point. And for people that are looking for that, the Organic Fitness Program is something that I do and take people on to. The 1st of April is my next program. If anyone wants to sign up to that, you can send me a message either or sign up on the website. It's Colman Power Organic Fitness. And those are things I help people through. Whether you just want to understand foods, whether you want to, I suppose, just be healthier and happier, eating complete protein foods with fiber, the 30-30 rule, 30 grams of fiber in a given day, 30 grams of fiber in your given main meals. There we go. So that is a classic question there, all about, I suppose, foods that you can have alternatives to eggs. So take, for example, and all protein supplement could be incorporated and factored into that. I'm totally not against supplements, whether it's multivitamins or a protein additive that you can add into your oats or break in a shake. It's about, I suppose, eating more whole foods and then factoring in a definition of supplement is to supplement what you cannot get from your diet. There's so many advantages to whole foods. Firstly, the fiber, then the antioxidants, and then the whole, I suppose, it being social when you sit down to a meal with someone instead of you going, "No, I'm on this shake diet, shake shake miraculous. Don't do that to yourself. It's something I haven't done, but I have definitely come across a high percentage of people that do think that shakes are the only way to lose weight. And if they have, I suppose, friends or family members have lost weight taking shakes, of course they have, because they've got themselves into a calorie deficit from consuming less foods. It's liquid. You're drinking liquid, and liquid form foods are typically lower in calories because there isn't a certain amount of nutrients in those. Great question. And we're going on to number 2. And it's the likes of Weetabix. Yes or no? Should and do I recommend them? It's definitely not the first thing I recommend, just due to the fact that Weetabix and any other wheat item, they are typically based high in carbohydrates and they're low in protein. You need to always focus on protein. Most people are not consuming enough throughout the day. And what ends up happening is carbohydrates increase your blood sugar levels. An increase in your blood sugar levels leads to a dip. What goes up must come down. And when a dip in your carbohydrate, your blood sugar levels happens, we tend to have cravings. Okay, so that's the main reason why people make unhealthy food choices, due to the fact that they are in a roller coaster diet. They go up and they go back down. They go up carbohydrates, and that's why people tend to pull out carbohydrates in your diet to, I suppose, get them to lose weight. I don't get people to take out carbohydrates completely. It's about using them at carb sensitive times and definitely eating better carbohydrates. Such, we'll give the example of maybe sourdough bread for breakfast with eggs would be a great start to your day. Why? Because sourdough bread has the main advantage of being fermented. Fermented foods will most certainly naturally populate your gut health, which is really important for your microbiota, that then improves your mood. This is the advantages of increasing your beneficial gut microbiome. Improves your mood. It most certainly can increase the absorption of fat, soluble vitamins, and every other vitamin and mineral that we consume from foods. Why? Because that's what their job is. Those little tiny little guys, there's more microorganisms located in your stomach than there are cells in your body. So a lot of people are saying it's really important. A lot of people are saying it. I'm shouting it from the rooftop. Eat more of the foods that benefit your gut. And leaning on, I suppose, towards the likes of why it's really important to consume other food items for breakfast. It's just like porridge. Porridge is a good source. I feel like I have to clear my throat. Apologies. Porridge is something that I used to have myself, and used to be one thing that I used to have a clue of portion sizes. Portion sizes are really important. Why? Because that is determinant of what effect it has on your body. So porridge, as a typical Irish man, I used to literally just pour in a bowl full, and never really know. The recommended serving size of porridge is about 40 grams of oats, but depending on if you're taller than me, if you're, suppose, smaller, taller, left or right, any size at all, that is something that you have to find out. And after that, remembering that carbohydrates on its own is only going to give you energy. It's not going to satiate you as much as protein foods and well as fats. So we'll just give the example for those who must remember that protein, fats, and carbs are at every food item, whatever it is. So typically oats and Weetabix will be carbohydrates. Eggs will be healthy fats and proteins. So if you were taking the example of carbohydrates increase your blood sugar levels. We'll call it like a dome. Go up and they go down. Everything must go down. Then the protein foods, they go up slightly, maybe a quarter of the ring. This is a diagram that I could most certainly describe to you, but it's also going to be in my book that's coming out about 2.5 months. So stay tuned for that. Can't wait. So the last one is fats. Fats have the least amount of effect on your blood sugar levels, and that's why it's definitely essential to add in more protein and healthy fats in your diet. So that's why eggs are a great one. And they're, as I said, we touched on it, they're nature's multivitamin, but you can't eat too much of those. So you can switch up your protein sources. Other examples would be a spoon of protein supplement if you do take that with your oats, or some people also put it in with their milk or have a shake and balance it out throughout the day, having a salad type lunch, whether that's with fish, and loads of vegetables, greens, tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, carrots, all chopped up with extra virgin olive oil might be one option. Or if you don't want to use the oil, you want to keep your calories down depending on your fitness goal, you will also definitely, there's so many benefits, extra virgin olive oil. There's a separate podcast on that. Antioxidants, and improving your skin health. The next of which, and your cognitive function, I love extra virgin olive oil. Next of which would also be having your apple cider vinegar, which also aids in digestion and is fermented, which I suppose leads me on to the next point is how long does it take after changing your diet to see positive effects on your gut health? Your gut health can be changed in a matter of 24 hours from eating more single ingredient foods. But not only I recommend single ingredient foods, it's getting them organically. Why? Because harsh chemicals such as glyphosate can be regularly sprayed on cheap food that's quote unquote 49 cents, which is ridiculous when you think about it. Taking the example of a tomato plant, you sow a seed in February or early in spring, it's watered, it's weeded, it's transplanted, it's situated, it's trained, it's harvested, it's put into a hopefully recyclable container and brought to market, brought to store, or wherever to you. And you expect someone to make money off 49 cents. That's ridiculous. And if you do get cheap food, the main realization is that someone has lost out. Either the farmer, either the poor individual that's picking it, either the likes of the or main one, the soil. And all these harsh chemicals have a negative effect on your gut health. Those of which the most toxic is glyphosate. Glyphosate has and is an antibiotic. That means that when you consume the foods that are sprayed with antibiotics, with glyphosate, it ends up being as an antibiotic to your gut health. It's killing your beneficial gut microbiota, and as a result of that, you have a lower immune system. You can have leaky gut, which leads to autoimmune diseases and inflammation in the body. Inflammation is the main leader of all different illnesses. Inflammation at a small level is poor skin health, spots, redness around the face. It's typically the first place. Why? Because your skin is the largest organ in your body. And after that, then it can lead to more serious issues, such as the likes of cancer is one of the worst ones, leading death in the world at this moment in time. So really remember that food is medicine, but making sure you're eating the right type of foods for your own specific health. And I highly recommend you to start eating more single ingredient foods, eating the best food you possibly can. And I touched on this before. If you can't get foods organic, you can either grow it or buy it. Whatever you do, you must add it to your diet. It's the idea that the more foods you get into your diet that are from the likes of a local farmer who's not spraying, they can be chemical free. The word organic is just registered. It has a logo because they're, I suppose, with a governing body who can do rigorous testing on the produce that or the product that they are giving to you and selling in shops or delivering to your door if you're on a box scheme at this moment in time. I work with people, I talk and go to farms, I chat with individuals. I want, I suppose, get people to realize that food is completely different when you get it without the likes of these toxic chemicals that are sprayed on it every single, I suppose, time that you consume something. You're either benefiting your health, your liquid, or it'd be in a solid form. The better you go with whole foods, the better it is for your overall health. Foods that naturally improve your gut microbiota would definitely be the likes of onions, garlic, leeks, drusen, artichoke, and yacon. They're a superfood, and they're also in the book as well. We talk about them. And they're definitely something that I'll be doing at the Grow Your Own course in Middleton on the 20th of March, if you're available for that. And then the next thing is that's really important is remembering that meat sources don't have fiber. So that's why I have an emphasis on always adding in greens. Adding in greens in the morning is preferably even better again. Why? Because it's really the first thing that's going to hit your gut. And other things that are natural prebiotics are ginger. It's really an organic fitness spice. It is something that reduces inflammation. It's high in antioxidants. Antioxidants reduce inflammation. The sun is coming up here. And the more, I suppose, things that you consume that reduce inflammation, reduce stress in your body, the better your overall health is going to be. The key ingredient is fiber. Fiber is found in fruits and vegetables. So the idea that when you're making food choices, you're adding in protein foods, you're adding in fiber foods, and that is the main advantage of having a plant-based meal in a day. You don't have to be a vegan or vegetarian to consume these type of foods. You can add in that Tofu, as I said, 100 grams is 13 grams of protein. You can add in tempeh, 100 grams of that. Typically, I show up my fist because that's the size if you're not weighing it or if you haven't weighed it once, which I do recommend people just to say, oh, well, that's 100 grams. Put it in a bowl, put your tempeh, boom, boom, fermented in a bowl. And then you go, that's 100 grams. So that's 18 grams of protein. We'll go with then if you had some beans, we call broad beans, that you froze French beans that you're sowing right now, and that'll be coming into season in the summer months. You gain the advantage of 100 grams of French beans, will be about 7 grams of protein, or black beans would also have high antioxidants. Why? Because the darker the color, the higher the antioxidants. I love Italy food. It makes me hungry talking about it too. 100 grams of tempeh, 18 grams of protein, 100 grams of French beans. Next in the frying pan, you will gain the advantage of 7 grams of protein, 18 and 7. They say don't do maths on live recordings or live anything. That's 25, I'm going to say. It's 25 rat. Add 15 grams of hemp seeds. That's 5 grams of protein in on top of that. I'm able to do those numbers because I've weighed it out myself. I've learned it's like your times table. It's like looking at your, I suppose, bank statement and saying, oh, I'm getting taxed such and such for that amount of income that I make on any given week or month, depending on when you get paid. Just checking and understanding the numbers of food is really important. This should be taught in schools, but even if it isn't and doesn't get taught in schools and you don't know about it, you have the opportunity to know. The idea is knowledge that you get is one thing, but putting it into practice is another. So that's 30 grams of protein in that main meal. Then you're adding in any greens and any spice you like. Winning. It's all in one pan. It comes out 8 minutes. That's an organic fitness meal. There's no messing around. It's one of those simple things that you can gain the advantage of. One plant-based meal. And then you add in fish in there too, and they bump it up even over 30. Or take out the tofu or tempeh. Whatever your diet requirements are, that is what I want you to do. Eat the foods that benefit you and your overall gut health. Boosh. Another thing is they can definitely improve your overall microbiota, because you don't only have gut beneficial flora in your stomach, but you also have it on your skin. So getting outside and grounding is something I do. We call it, a lot of people are talking about this forest bathing, which also can literally happen when you just go for walks. We have gone so far away from what we used to do growing up. Our grandparents, our parents even for that matter, they went for walks on their days off. They didn't stay inside and watch Netflix and literally put the feet up every single opportunity that they got. They were outside a hell of a lot more. They weren't consuming toxic chemicals on a regular basis. Why? Because we have, I suppose, created demand for cheap food, when in fact food should never be cheap and isn't cheap. And if it is, we touched on, it's somebody is losing out majorly. And that brings me on to, I suppose, exercises that actually can also improve the likes of your gut microbiota. So another reason to get on it. Exercise for someone with poor joints. Okay, so weight training is something I do recommend, but it doesn't have to be heavy weights. It doesn't have to be literally squatting or deadlifting an enormous amount of dumbbells or weights on a rack. You can get in great shape with using large muscle groups, which I always recommend. If you cannot do squats, which I do have on a lot of people's programs, due to the fact that that is using the largest muscle group of the body, use the other ones that you can. Okay, using either a bent over row, using a lat pull down if you're in the gym, or like a shoulder press. You can also use a chest press, pressing forward, pressing up, shoulder and chest, incorporating those large muscle groups. And the other 4 main large muscle groups, you have your legs for the squats, you have your shoulders for the press, you have your back for a lat pull down or a bent over row, or most certainly then shoulder press or chest press are the largest of the compound movements, which I do recommend. And after that, then it's really definitely something that I would add in to your, I suppose, exercise, daily exercise or regular exercise program. Be low impact finishers, whether that would be the likes of a wide burpee, depending on if you can incorporate in those. There's no jump involved there. You could also do a squat and a crunch, and definitely doing those things on and off for about 20 to 20 seconds on, 10-second rest, or up and into 30 seconds on with a 10-second rest are definitely something you can incorporate in. Also, people that do have the equipment at home, you could also do a finisher on a bike or a rower, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds rest. That is elevating your heart rate after the likes of, I suppose, using your glycogen, which is your body's main source of energy. Carbohydrates are converted into glycogen. So carbs, breads, pastas, quinoa, bulgur wheat, as we said, also have them, and all vegetables have carbs, converted into glycogen. Glycogen is then used as a direct fuel source. Glycogen is that up. Okay, glycogen is great because that's the main body's main source of energy. So once you suppose use up in your workouts your glycogen, you then I suppose use a finisher. This is why I have a recommendation of using finishers at the end of your workouts. It helps you tap into your fat stores. And even if you cannot, you say, oh, Colman, I don't have a road, don't have a bike, I literally can't do those squats. What else could you do? Swimming is absolutely great for your joints. Okay, whether you swim in the sea, use a wetsuit, or you're going in a pool, it is something that is low impact on the joints. It is something that I had an advantage of at the event that I did last weekend with Lorna down at Inishbeg in West Cork. It was amazing. First we went in the sea, then went to the sauna, which is another thing. It's great for your skin health. Like sweating is really important. That's another advantage of training. When you do a finisher, sweating out toxins from your body that we do consume, and even myself, I consume toxins such as the toxic air that I breathe when I'm in the town or in the villages with the cars and the fumes, in the water that we drink that we have polluted, and also in the soil. But the last, I suppose, organic fitness thing that's left that's majorly unpolluted is the sun. And I recommend you get sun every single day. Sun is the most beneficial thing to your body. Get excessive amounts of it, just like anything, excessive amounts of food can be and cause negative effects on your overall health. Right. Now, I think we'll wrap that up as in a classic, I suppose, Q&A today. Things that are coming up in this month. We have the Organic Fitness Program. If you want in on that, send me a message. A 6-week program for, I suppose, improving your overall health, not just losing weight, starting the 1st of April. Taking bookings now. There's currently only 6 spaces left. We have the Grow Your Own and Nutrition Day based in Middleton. That is on the 20th, starting at 11 p.m. And that involves your lunch and how to grow anything for beginners to intermediates. I highly recommend. Why? Because you're not only supposed to be learning how to grow a little bit of your own, you're also learning about the nutrition and how to cook it. And after that, then the Organic Fitness Retreat is on the 25th of March. You want in on any of those? Send a message. All right, stay tuned, stay classy, and keep it organic. Thanks for listening. Oh, I nearly forgot the tagline. Get on that good stuff. God. You stay tuned, stay classy, keep it organic. I forgot that. That would have been the first time ever. I just stayed to the end.